So why does your character in Final Fantasy XIV get all the level ups, huh? On this episode of the Heroes Forge podcast, we teach you how to level up your real life. Once again, welcome back to the Heroes Forge podcast, where we help millennial geeks, gamers, and cosplayers live their best, most heroic life and change their world. I am Troy Bushido, trainer and head coach at Heroes Forge Coaching, and I have been on a tear creating campaign settings and storylines for my favorite game, Dungeons & Dragons. With this upcoming new renaissance of tabletop RPGs on the horizon, as well as MMOs being more popular than ever, I wanted to take this time to do an empowering thought exercise. We're going to gamify your life and turn it into a real level up experience. So by the end of this episode, you will not only have a better perspective on yourself, but where to go from here to live your best level 20 life. Or level 50 for you MMO kids. Just as a gentle reminder, these videos are in podcast format, so feel free to put your device down while you work outs, cook outs, geek outs, game outs, play your MMO in the background. Do what you got to do. But once again, audio podcast format, so sit back, relax, and enjoy this episode. So I'm basing this thought experiment on two frameworks. One is from Chris Hardwick's book called The Nerdist Way, and it's one of my favorite books. It's part memoir and part self-help book from the literal creator of Nerdist. So this book was, I think, written around 2012, I think, but still very relevant. Talks very candidly about a lot of things, including like how to deal with anxiety, why you gain so much weight from alcohol, and definitely goes deep, probably deeper than most things. Very highly recommended book. The second framework is from the book called Level Up Your Life by Steve Kamb. He's a founder of this fitness company called Nerd Fitness, which I should have just asked for a job before I actually created my own version of that company. For those of you who don't know, I've been a personal trainer for geeks, gamers, and cosplayers for the past 3 years. Probably about, actually 4 years now. 2019 is when I started. But little did I know, Nerd Fitness has been around for like since 2015. And if I knew, I would just ask for a job. But hey, now I am a person that's a competitor. Now I am one of those anime rivals. I will surpass you, Steve Kamb, mark my words. But nonetheless, the guy's got a phenomenal book. Both these books are very good and on the front and center of my self-help, self-development library. More so than Tony Robbins' bullshit, fun time, more than I did all that stuff. They're good. I mean, these self-help gurus are good, but a lot of these self-development and self-help books don't connect to geek culture. They don't cater to freaking gamers, geeks, neurodivergents like us, and there's nothing for them. So these two books have been great. And one element that these two books have in common is something called a character tome or a real life character sheets. Now, character tomes and character sheets have been a mainstay of tabletop role-playing games for the longest time. They are what most MMOs, modern MMOs, base everything off of. They are the granddaddy of the MMO build. The main reason why people do builds in like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons now is because of the MMO industry and how we try to create optimizations of our player characters. Now, before all that happened, we used to just have blank level 1 sheets of paper, assess our character, and just go to freaking dungeons and explore. That's how old school D&D was. And I started playing D&D back in 2nd edition, back in 1995. So there were no builds back then. There were just, you play a class, you play to the character's strengths, you try to round out the weaknesses either through development or through teamwork, and you try not to die because 2nd edition D&D was brutal. In fact, probably every version of D&D before Wizards of the Coast was rough. But there's a reason why there was so much drama behind watching D&D and Stranger Things, because those games were rough. So what are we going to do? We're going to assess our strengths and assess maybe our weaknesses too. We're going to give ourselves some perspective so we could go through the rough game that is life. So we're going to start with Dungeons & Dragons' main 6 attributes, with a couple of my own custom additions. So for those of you who don't know, the D&D 6 attributes are Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, Wisdom, and Charisma. So Strength is pretty self-explanatory. What's your max lifts? What's your overall strength count? What things can you do? Now, for your own version of your character tome, go ahead and rate them from 3 to 18. Now, if you want to super simplify this, rate it 1 to 5. If you've never played D&D before, just rate yourself from 1 to 5. 1 being a weak sauce, 5 being world's strongest man. But if you're a hardcore D&D geek like me, 3 to 18. That is old school. Roll your stats. The lowest you can get is 3. The highest you can get is 18. I know you 5th edition guys are roll 4 dice, drop the lowest, but roll with me here. We're going old school. But once again, strength, 3 to 18, or 1 to 5. The second stat is dexterity. It's your agility, it's your coordination, it's how well you can juggle, how well you can balance, how well you can hop from one thing to another, how well can you dodge bullets like Neo. Once again, 3 is a total klutz, I'm total clumsy. 18 is Nightwing. Not Spider-Man, Nightwing. Constitution is how healthy you are, relatively speaking. How often do you get sick? How many allergies do you have, like me? How many pills are you popping from genetic health conditions? Spoiler alert, my constitution's low. It's 8. I'd give myself like a solid 8. I know you're like, Troy, you're in the fitness industry. But I'm like, bruh, I got genetic high blood pressure and allergies out the ass. My constitution be low. My girlfriend Alex is like joking around like, yeah, if it's a zombie apocalypse, you're going to be the first to die because we're going to have to be outside. And your allergy is going to sneeze and you're going to attract every zombie in a mile. We're going to die. Anyway, intelligence. How book smart are you? How well are you in the intellect and the arts and the sciences and the maths? Like, how well did you do in school? What were your ACTs, SATs, or what other standardized tests are there? You get what I mean. Wisdom is different from intelligence, where intelligence is book smarts. Wisdom is overall awareness of the world around you, overall senses. How well is your intuition? How well do you know, like, if a situation's dangerous? How well can you read a person's body language? How well can you read the room? How well can you just sense the vibe? Charisma is pretty self-explanatory. How well are you with people? Now, here are 2 of my bonus stats. Will. Will is a stat that's similar to what's called a saving throw in Dungeons & Dragons. Typically, bad things happen to you. Adversity happens. Things get in your way. So when things get in your way or an obstacle shows up, a lot of times you have to roll a saving throw based on your previous 6 stats to see if you could get around it, get over it, or get through it. For instance, fireball goes off, you're throwing a dexterity saving throw. Now, why did I make it about will? It's because usually, you don't got fireballs thrown in your face. Instead, the obstacles and things that get in your way and the dangers are typically they're physically harmless, but they're very disruptive. Distractions, negative people, the haters, drinking the haterade. Will is the bonus stat, symbolizing your ability to get through those adverse situations. Again, statted 3 to 18. Finally, this bonus stat is akin to what's called Bardic Inspiration. It's a 5th edition thing. The stat's called Confidence. Because you can be strong, you can be healthy, you can be smart, you can be wise, you could think you have charisma, but if you don't have the confidence to back it up, if you don't have the confidence to be inspired, if you don't have the confidence to see your stats, all the other stats are going to get nerfed. So you have your 6 basics, and you got your will, which is your saving throw against life. And then you have your confidence, which is just your overall ability to be inspired to act on your strengths and act on those 6 attributes. Inspiration is a trademark of the 5th edition system, where like bards will inspire you. They're gonna play their jingles, play their tunes, like Sam Riegel. You will rock, you're awesome, dirty pop, you're gonna go and be hot, woo! And there it is. Then you're inspired, like, oh my god, that's my jam, let's kick some ass. Other tabletop systems don't leave this up to bards. They give you a pool of dice, of bonus dice to ramp up your ability rolls. These were called fate dice or character dice in the old D6 systems. There used to be a Star Wars RPG before Wizards of the Coast that rolled on a D6 system. And you rolled a certain amount of D6s to do abilities, but then you had this pool of confidence called character dice that adds to those rolls. So your confidence are these bonus pieces of stats. And I'm still just rolling metaphoric here, guys. But your confidence is like that inspiration where, boom, you could ramp up any ability check. If you're confident, you're going to lift more weight. If you're confident, you're going to just feel more vibrant and healthier overall. If you're confident, you're going to absorb more knowledge. Obviously, if you're confident, your charisma is going to go through the roof. So that is your bonus stat of confidence, your pool of awesome. Let's talk about skills. List all the skills you think you're proficient in. In 5th edition, you have proficiencies. Like, if you're a fighter, you're proficient in any weapon, you're proficient in any armor. You may have like 1 or 2 language proficiencies. You may be proficient in survival and athletics. If you're a rogue, you're obviously proficient in deception and stealth. Just write down a list of real life skills you have. And the thing about 5th edition, and what sometimes grinds my gears about new school Dungeons and Dragons, is that you're kind of confined to that skill list. I want you to think outside the box and just write down every skill you have. Every skill that pops out that you think you're even B+ at. You don't even have to be an A at. If you're proficient, you're not even expertise, just write it in. Now, once you have those down, and by the way, if you're doing this like step by step along with me on this video or podcast, feel free to pause. If I had video sponsors, I would have just given you a video sponsor. But this video is sponsored by Heroes Forge Coaching. Go ahead to heroesforgecoaching.com for more details. Boom! There's your sponsor. Next, let's add alignment. It is optional. You don't have to add alignment. Let's just assume and hope you're not chaotic evil, okay? Alignment usually aligns to just kind of where you're at in life and what your life perspective is. Alignments. Lawful good. You are a crusader. You're a Boy Scout. Lawful good people do saintly do-gooder things, who tend to get boners for honor and duty to a higher authority. Examples of lawful good are Batman, Dick Tracy, and Indiana Jones. Neutral good, the benefactor. Whereas lawfuls follow a third-party code, neutrals are bound by their own conscience. Examples are Zorro and Spider-Man. I pitched a doctor in this pile, but some of the nerds would shout out that he's more chaotic good, which means the rebel. Examples are Han Solo, Mad Max, Malcolm Reynolds from Firefly, and Robin Hood, also Dexter Morgan. Lawful neutral, the soldier. Examples James Bond, Odysseus, and Kiefer Sutherland's Mushmouth Marine and A Few Good Men. Neutral, undecided. Examples, most people who are just high in their couch. Chaotic neutral, the anarchy free spirit. Examples, Captain Jack Sparrow and Snake Plissken. Lawful good, the Dominator. Examples, Boba Fett and Magneto. I would say Darth Vader in there as well, to be honest with you. Neutral evil, the Malefactor. Examples, General Zod and chaotic evil, don't be chaotic evil. Finally, and this is usually what D&D gamers do first, but let's do this last because it's real life. Give yourself a class. You can use D&Ds, or if you're still, if you're a long-time Heroes Forge fan and you've known us since we've been a fitness site, we like to do physical-based classes. So over at Nerd Fitness, all their classes are physical-based, but if you want to add a different class of your own that is more intellectual-based or creative-based, do it. If I think of some, I will go ahead and add them into the comments or in the description of this video. If I feel super creative, I might just do a second cutaway from the editor table. But Nerd Fitness classes, here we go. The Warrior, you love the idea of getting stronger and more powerful. Every day is an opportunity to move heavy things and test yourself against competition. Fictional example, Thor of Asgard. Real world example, the Mountain in the Game of Thrones. Scout, built for distance and efficiency rather than strength and power. You could outlast any animal on the planet. Fictional example, Legolas from Lord of the Rings. Real world example, Rita Geppetto, Boston Marathon world record holder. Or Jan Ferrando, 2008 Olympic gold medalist and 2015 Ironman champion. The Ranger. The jack of all trades, Rangers are well equipped for any situation. You're good at strength training and pretty good at covering distances that are required, but neither is a specialty. Fictional example, Jon Snow and Katniss Everdeen. Real world example, Rich Frogman Jr., 4-time winner of the CrossFit Games. Assassin. Every building can be climbed, every gap can be jumped, every obstacle can be conquered. Assassins spend most of their time training in functional bodyweight exercises. Fictional example, Ezio Auditore of Assassin's Creed. Real example, everyone from American Ninja Warrior. Shout out to you, Ethan. And this is probably me. Monks. Monks can kick your ass with their fists and feet. And they can do it before you even know what happened. Incredibly agile, lightning fast, and loaded with power. Me, not anymore. I gotta get that back. Fictional example, Neo from The Matrix, Beatrix Kiddo from Kill Bill. Real world examples, UFC fighters George St. Pierre and Anderson the Spider Silva. Druids. Druids spend most of their majority of their time training in the arts of yoga, tai chi, and other movement-based principles. Fictional example is Lady Galadriel from Lord of the Rings. Real world example is Josh Wackinson, Tai Chi Push Hands US champion. And he's also a chess prodigy. Finally, you have the Adventurer. The Adventurer is a brave soul who fears nothing and always goes about the next hill or the next ocean to cross. Fictional example is Indiana Jones and Lara Croft. Real world example is Bear Grylls. Feel free to go ahead and pick your class. I am a monk. Some would say I'm a monk bard multi-class, and I hate to be a bard, but I guess it'll fit the bill. I don't know. Throw it in the comments of the video. Am I a monk bard multi-class? Do I have levels of bard in me? Just let me know. But once you're done, go ahead and review your character's home, whether you put it in a digital format, put it in like a Microsoft Word, put it in D&D Beyond, or just wrote it down. I usually like writing down things analog before putting it digital anyway. But that is your character tome. Take a look at it. Take a look at your strengths. Take a look at things you want to work on. Look at the strengths and see, okay, these are really, really good. Is there a way I could use these strengths to serve the people around me, to help the people around me? There's something called ikagi or ikagi, which is a Japanese philosophy of using your skills to better mankind and sort of making a living off of it. So if you can't make a living off your strengths, you can always ask yourself, hey, can I serve my community with these strengths? Now, if you like your weaknesses, you could ask yourself, is there something small each and every day that I can do to bump up this stat? It's going to take time. Like in Dungeons & Dragons, you bump up ability scores every 4 levels. So it takes a good minute to get any ability score bumped up, and you only bump it up by 1. That's real life, though. That is real life. So check your weaknesses, round them out, and be like, okay, am I low on intelligence? How can I learn better? I know a couple books off the top of my head. Limitless by Jim Quick, for instance, which teaches you how to learn faster. Wisdom, what can I do to bump that up? Do I just got to get out more, experience different things? Charisma, do I got to go Toastmasters? The strength and dexterity stuff, that's pretty self-explanatory. In this world of always trying to better yourself and trying to empower yourself, check those stats. And give yourself just a little bit of task, a little something that you can do to improve your stat each and every day. It may bump up by 1%, not by 1, but it still counts. So once again to review, serve your strengths to the rest of the world. Trust me, you're gonna love the way things turn out. And round out your weaknesses either by yourself or in a community of people that are willing to back you up. Better off, if you have a weakness, find a 2-step ahead mentor. Now, a 2-step ahead mentor is not a guru. They're literally 2 steps ahead. They're just a little bit ahead of you. They have some experiences, but they're still learning. Those are some of the best people to go to. They're easier to connect with. And also, they're teaching you their experiences helps them even more. And if you have strengths that could be a 2-step ahead mentor to someone else, that's another way to serve your community. So think about that. But hopefully, this character tome will give you a nice, great foundation on how to get better for yourself and change the world around you. If you like this episode, go ahead, hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't, and be on the lookout for the next episode. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Always be a hero of your world. Talk to you soon.